Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. It has certainly been a long time since I last said that. You'll notice, probably before anything else, that the background in this room is slightly different to how it once looked. There are no bookcases. We do have some paltry Pathfinder books and Dungeons and Dragons and even some RuneQuest behind me, but you'll also notice to my right a baby's cot. That's right, my study has been repurposed as a nursery. We have had an heir to the family throne, and this has meant most of my books have migrated to elsewhere in the house, which is fantastic. To be honest, I couldn't be happier with the events of the last 2 weeks. It's not been that long since he was born, but the last 9 months, the last 3 years have been incredibly exciting for me. Since 2013, I've been writing role-playing games for companies such as Onyx Path Publishing, Green Ronin, Cubicle 7, and this particular video, which won't be the last, I can assure you, I've got a few things I need to talk with you guys and gals about, is regarding a book that's currently on Kickstarter. A book that I not only wrote, I would say I wrote a fair portion of it, and I also co-developed it. Now, when you're writing, you generally write within an outline that a developer provides you. When you're developing, not only are you necessarily writing, you're pushing writers in certain directions, you're assigning them certain chapters, you're telling them to write in certain ways, you're editing text, you're doing all kinds of fun things like that, but you're constructing the framework of the book where the writer fills in the blanks. And I got to do both of these things on Beckett's Jyhad diary. Now, who is Beckett? Beckett is a gangrel in Vampire the Masquerade, an archaeologist, an anthropologist, and a cynical vampire. I suppose you would consider him an atheist when it comes to the noddist mysteries of Vampire the Masquerade. He doesn't believe in Cain, doesn't believe in the antediluvians, but this puts him in the perfect position to act as the neutral bystander as various events take place. And what is the Jyhad? The Jyhad is the eternal struggle, the eternal war, and the eternal manipulations between, well, antediluvians, clan founders, Methuselahs, ancient vampires, elders, ancillae, even some neonates and fledglings, new vampires, as they attempt to manipulate the course of the world of darkness to their own benefit, whether it is in immediate terms or in terms that last and stretch over millennia. The Jyhad is ever waged and ever running, and many vampires are pulled on puppet strings and they don't know who their puppeteers are. The Jyhad in Vampire the Masquerade probably first popped up in Chicago by Night, when you got to see Menel and Helena of clans Bruhar and Toreador. There were very few vampires in that book who were not under control of one or both of those Methuselahs. And what is the diary? Well, Beckett, our narrator, is travelling around the world. He's interviewing various members of different clans, different bloodlines, seeing different events, engaging in different parts of the meta plot, visiting different cities, encountering characters, encountering plot lines, encountering chronicle hooks, and so on, that have been established in all of the previous editions of Vampire the Masquerade. And this is what Beckett's Jyhad diary is. At present, it's, I think, a 24-chapter book of Beckett interacting with basically everything that I've been talking to you about in my Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. We have threads that are pulled all the way from the most obscure first edition books through to some of the wackier and, let's say, more gonzo or more sublime second edition books, some of the more hard-edged revised books, and of course the V20 books that have been coming out over the last 5 years. We have coordinated all of this information. We've put it all in one place. It's not an encyclopedia, but it is Beckett, as our narrator, being able to interact with all these things, pull them to the fore, and provide them to you as a storyteller and a player in ways that you can use them in the game. So in one scene, Beckett may be interviewing a character that appeared in Milwaukee by night. In another, he may be witnessing an event from DC by night. In another, he may be retreading the ground from the Giovanni Chronicles. Whereas in another, he may be rampaging around Castle Dracula and falling in love with the inhabitants. It's a book that veers from the darkly horrific to the personal horror to the tragic to comedic at times. There's romance, there's all kinds of things in it, and the vast majority of it is all told in character. It is his diary. At the end of every chapter, we have a little storyteller section telling you how you can use the elements from this chapter in your games. And it's all full colour. Not awful, it's all full colour. So the art throughout is already looking fantastic, that I've had a chance to see. The writing is already concluded. That is all done, minus any errata that pops up from the fans reading it, and the buyers and readers and the players and the storytellers reading it. But it is currently on Kickstarter. It has just over 20 days remaining before the Kickstarter concludes. It has already met its funding total, and now we're in the realm of stretch goals and additional paragraphs. At time of recording, those stretch goals, 4 additional paragraphs. There's a poll to see which which chapter will be added next, and there's a close run thing between a Salubri focused chapter and a Cappadocian focused one. The Sabbat are sadly trailing the Cappadocians and the Salubri, but this book really covers everything, and the reason I brought it here to YouTube, and the reason I've not really done this with any of the other books that I've written for, but perhaps I should, is because this book, when I was writing for it, is where I have felt most at home as a writer. Again, if you are familiar with my videos, my Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, you'll know that I have somewhat of an encyclopedic knowledge when it comes to Masquerade. That's not a boast. It's just that I have managed to accumulate an awful lot of lore and trivia regarding the game, from obscurities to mainstream, from character names and generations to who they were chatting with on this particular night, in this particular year, in this particular city. And I've been able to apply all of that into this book. It isn't just retreading old ground either. We've managed to expand the meta plot of Vampire. The thing that daunts so many people from getting involved in Vampire, well, the plot's so heavy. Now you get to see it from an outsider's point of view, looking in, and as a player or a storyteller, you get advice on how to utilise that information in your game. It moves some things along in the meta plot, but more than anything else, it broadens it. It allows more and more players and more storytellers to access it, and opens up new avenues to gain entry. If you're playing a Giovanni, or you're playing a Sabbat pack in a city, or a Camarilla Coterie, there's so many different ways you can use this book. And what's more, because so much of it is in-character artifacts, if you bought it in PDF, you could print out pages and use them as artifacts at your gaming table, as handouts, whether you're a LARPer or a tabletop role player. Honestly, there is no book that I have worked on over the past few years that I'm more proud of than this one. The amount of work the writers went to, and the amount of research that we've had to go to, looking over the old books to get our information correct, I think shows in the quality of this book. So this book, Beckett's Jyhad Diary, is on Kickstarter right now. You can buy a PDF of it, you could buy the deluxe hard copy of it, you could buy a whole ream of PDFs that are connected to this, so all the Transylvania Chronicles and the like, at a vastly discounted price through the Kickstarter. You can buy multiple copies of it if you're a bookseller, or if you want to buy them for your group. And there's also some of the more, I suppose, high-end backer levels that cover things like getting yourself put into the book as an art reference, so you could appear in it as a character, essentially. You just send in a photo reference, and one of our artists will draw an interpretation of you, maybe interacting with Beckett, and will no doubt have to write something about the character that appears in that illustration. Character names may appear in the book, so if you pledge at that level, you could actually have a character in the book, whether it's your name or a character's name, who interacts with Beckett, who's a key NPC in the book. We also have backer levels that allow you to have the game run for you by either myself or the fellow developer, Neil Raymond Price. He is my co-developer, and either of us could run a game for you. Now, one thing I will say, and I've received a few messages about this particular Kickstarter level, is that that's quite high. The pledge level, from memory, I couldn't tell you what it is, but if you click on the link, you'll be able to see it. The point isn't for one person to pay for that. It's for me or Neil to run a game for your group over Skype or Twitch or Google Hangouts or what have you. And not Twitch, Tiny Chat maybe, but either way, it will enable us to run a game for a group. So if your group wants to get online and play with one of the developers running a game for you using some of the chronicle threads from Beckett's Jyhad Diary, we can do that. We could probably even broadcast the session. So if that's the kind of thing that appeals to you, have a word with your gaming group, see whether you can pool a little money together. I want to say, actually, because I still follow the YouTube channels that I know and love, and I know that there has sometimes been a little bit of backs rising up, I suppose would be a way to put it, hackles rising when it comes to members of the YouTube RPG Brigade asking for money. I'm not asking for money. While, of course, I will greatly appreciate money now, I am not asking for money on this. Any money that you put towards this Kickstarter simply goes towards the book. It does not go towards my pocket. I've already been paid for this book. Well, my work on it. So anything you put your money towards will just go towards more stretch goals getting unlocked, which means more free content for you, and it goes towards a deluxe copy, potentially, or a PDF, or multiple PDFs, or what have you, of Beckett's Jyhad Diary. So that's hardly an elevator pitch, unless the elevator is going up a massive skyscraper, and the trip takes just over 11 minutes. But I hope that has interested you. Honestly, if you ever liked my vampire videos, you will appreciate this book. It's got so much in it. It acts as a perfect entry point, and it also just has so many Easter eggs for the established vampire fan, the person who thinks they know everything. You will love pulling this book apart and finding the small references to obscure books, obscure lines and characters who appear in a book and never appear again. We've got so many little tidbits in this book that I think you will really enjoy. Now, this isn't my only appearance. I will come back onto YouTube very shortly because I have other things to talk about. But for now, I'm asking, if you appreciate this channel, if you liked my Gentleman's Guide to Vampire videos, please do check out the Kickstarter for Beckett's Jyhad Diary. Even if you're to pledge at the lowest possible level, just so you can keep up with the updates, your support, as it always has been, is greatly appreciated. It's been a dream come true for me to write for Vampire the Masquerade and now to develop for Vampire the Masquerade. And I couldn't have done all of what I've done without the support that this channel has provided me, the confidence it's given me. And so if you want to continue giving that support, then one way you can do it is just check out the Kickstarter, and if you're interested in what's on offer, put a few dollars down or pounds, and well, I hope you enjoy what you see. By all means, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below or comment on the Kickstarter. I am on there. I'm on the Onyx Path forum as a writer and developer. I'm also talking about it on RPGNet, on Facebook, basically anywhere. And if you have any messages for me, any private messages, please private message me through the Gentleman Gamer page on Facebook. I will also link that in the description to this video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time, and thank you so much for your continued support. It is appreciated like nothing else.